Austin Dressman, Community and Events Manager at Engaging Networks. And I want to thank you for being here at today's webinar on marketing tools. As a reminder, before we kind of really jump into things here, our email classic tool will be sunsetting in July of 2026. So July next year, not next month, but next year. So we hope that this and other things that we'll be able to kind of share in the next year will help you kind of feel more comfortable making that jump if you haven't already. It can feel like a big thing, but it's also, as you'll find today, it's very doable, and we're here to help and answer any questions you might have, and as are our speakers here today. So I will introduce our fantastic speakers that we have. First, we have Morgan Sheriak, she is the digital production and analytics specialist at Friends of the Earth, and she's leveraged her deep experience in producing targeted email and SMS campaigns, maintaining technical systems, driving analytics for their digital membership and advocacy program. And this is all being fueled by passion, as you would expect, for environmental causes from years of volunteering and nonprofit work. And then we also have Sarah Farguson, who is the director and support and digital strategy at Cornershop Creative, one of our accredited partners. And she has this robust career in strategic planning, community engagement, fundraising, and now leads a team supporting over 250 nonprofits with innovative digital strategies. And you would have seen her if you were in Toronto this past week, speaking at ENCC Toronto. So we're grateful to have both Morgan and Sarah here to share their expertise on marketing tools and all things digital, and some really great takeaways I'm sure you'll have here today.
Thanks, Austin. So I am going to kick us off, and Morgan and I have quick introductions. Austin did a great job of sharing a little bit about us, but I am Sarah Farguson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm located in Norfolk, Virginia, which is currently on fire with the rest of the East Coast. It is very, very hot and just trying to stay cool. But I have been with Cornershop. I will be going on 9 years, July 5th. So very excited, getting 1 year closer to that Tinfinity. I love all things digital and nonprofits. As Austin mentioned, I just came back from attending the community conference in Toronto, which was wonderful, and I'll also be at DC. So looking forward to seeing you there if you're attending. And I did look at the attendee list and seeing some familiar names and some new ones. So I'm excited to share, our perspective as a partner on making the transition to the new marketing tools. And with that, I'll turn it over to Morgan to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Morgan Sheriak, and I'm the Digital Production and Analytics Specialist at Friends of the Earth. I have been with Friends of the Earth for a little over a year now, but I have a lot of experience in the digital realm in general, and my primary role here at Friends of the Earth is creating email campaigns and digging into analytics and reporting, and also creating our SMS campaigns as well. I'm located in Indianapolis, Indiana. I also use she, her pronouns. And yeah, I'm really excited to dig into this as well. I've had a lot of fun branching into marketing tools coming from Email Classics. So I'll turn it back over to Sarah to get us started.
So figured we'd take a little temperature check of just where are folks in the transition to marketing tools. You can feel free to use, I guess, the chat or the Q&A to post, where you are. Have you not started yet? Are you planning too soon? Are you currently in progress, or have you successfully transitioned and started using the new marketing tools? Haven't started, just learning, in progress. That's exciting. We'll talk a little bit more about, the in progress status, to help those folks who haven't started get the motivation to do it. Oh, I see one person that's transitioned. Congrats, Bridget. I enjoy Paul's message and tracking clients clicking and screaming, and hopefully we can help share some just good tips and tricks and a good change in perspective. Because both from my experience, and I'm sure Morgan will share as well, yes, transition is always hard. I hate change. but the positives on the other side and kind of demystifying what that looks like. So thanks everybody for sharing. Feel free to continue to drop things in the chat so people don't feel alone if they're, haven't started or they are in transition or if you're in the completed stage. So from a really high level, what are the new marketing tools? And I feel like this GIF or GIF, however you prefer to say it, really kind of summarizes the high level comparison, which it really is, a makeover, if you will. It's bringing, especially email marketing, into the 21st century. It has things, like a drag and drop visual builder. It's using innovative segmenting capabilities, more advanced A/B testing. So it's giving you all of those things that you love about engaging networks, email marketing, and marketing capabilities, but it's just really leveling it up. That does come with some changes and some learning opportunities, if you will. But overall, you're still getting the same thing that you love about sending emails and marketing with engaging networks, but just a little bit better. I wanted to highlight some of the key, benefits that come with using the new marketing tools that are maybe a bit of a change from what you've experienced in Email Classic and kind of the benefits that come along with that. So the first one really is the drag and drop templates. The first thing that you'll notice is how much easier it is to build emails. The new marketing tools really replace that old school WYSIWYG HTML heavy experience that for non-coders can be a bit intimidating. You'll see this loop playing right now that just sort of shows you all of like the key features from the new drag and drop builder. And you can, really create engaging branded templates and lock down elements so that they're always on brand, but still gives your team flexibility to be able to create the messages that they want to create. If you ever used any other kind of popular marketing tools like a MailChimp, it's giving very that. You get this library of content blocks that you can use that really come out of the box ready to go. But then on top of that, you can create custom blocks, which are shown here. These are some that we built for Friends of the Earth. And with this shift alone to these really like highly customizable and pre-built elements, shifting to building emails in this way is automatically going to save you some time in building out those emails. It's meant to be very, quick click, ready to go with that drag and drop email tool so that it's really intuitive to build and you can see what you're building as you build it. And probably best of all, you really don't need to dig through, copious amounts of code and be well versed in CSS to change and tweak things. Everything is there in that little left, sidebar customizer, or sorry, right side customizer. The second one, and probably my most favorite thing about the new marketing tools, and I think just in general, the direction that engaging networks is going in is segmenting. So we're all familiar with good old profiles and creating your audience when building an email classic, and segments is a huge upgrade and really is the foundational piece to a lot of the other innovative improvements that Engaging Networks is making over the next year. If you haven't checked out the new reporting, which again is, I'm a visual girl, so I love a good visual report. I love how you can build the segments visually with these lovely overlapping circles, a good Venn diagram, and really provides a dynamic interface to be able to build those out. So really, segments are that big classic component of engaging networks, but again, just elevated. And as you can see in this example, I'm just really creating a very simple segment to market to those people that live in Virginia and have opted in. And you can, filter by all of those key pieces that you have been before: geography, donation history, engagement levels, action taken. But again, in a more user-friendly visual way. And it can also help you with this next piece, which is in customizing those audience segments. So we work with a couple clients that love to segment, and so do we, creating personalized messages based on maybe their donation history, and this makes it really easy to segment, so you don't have to create 7 versions of the same email. And I just realized, is the video not showing, or is it? Sorry, there's a
Shows
lot of.
shows for me.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. But within the actual email builder itself, you can easily create separate clones of your main email, and then assign a separate segment to each of those. This again is really going to save a lot of time, whereas you don't have to create, again, separate emails that then you have to schedule and send. It's all included in one. Therefore, the reporting is all coordinated, so you can look at it from a high level of how the campaign overall performed, as well as with your specific audience segments within there. Um, all right, next is testing. So, A/B testing in Email Classic is somewhat limited. It is built in, which is nice, but you have to create each version of the email manually, and there's no, integrated flow into the testing. So, testing in Email Classic is very much a, strict A/B test. I want this percentage to get the control, this percentage to get the test. We'll see who wins. This is one way to do A/B testing, but the elevated approach that the new marketing tools is what goes by a lot of names. I call it like A/B champion testing, where you're able to, one, test more variations. So you can have a control, a test A, a test B, to test different elements with a smaller segment of your list, and then send the winner from that test to the majority of your list. So this is really a great way, as I know some marketers or development departments are a little bit scared about A/B testing because they don't want to put uh, conversions or revenue on the line if it's not a tried and true uh, method. But we also know that really, A/B testing is the best way to know if something is going to resonate with your audience. So this lets you do it in a more controlled, smaller environment without really impacting conversion so much. And actually, you're going to send the version that's going to convert the best to the majority of the people. So, as a strategist, this is really exciting to me, and it's really built into the workflow itself. Some other features of A/B testing as well is the time-based automation. So you can set even a duration to test before automatically triggering the winner. So it's very hands-off, and allows you to set it and sort of step away and then come back and view the results. The next benefit really is around, again, the way that Engaging Networks has built and developed this is really not just a email marketing platform. It really is a marketing suite. So it includes the integration of SMS texting really built into the campaign development itself. So you'll see that the UI is very similar to the email build, and that you can make sure that you have that cohesive messaging. You're not having to have 47 tabs open. You can really coordinate the campaign all together. And so this is really great for especially like rapid response or event driven outreach, where time is not a luxury. You have to do things quickly and easily. So definitely, if you're ready to, not only move to the new marketing tools, but also explore how you can leverage SMS into your marketing plan, this is a great thing to start exploring, reach out to engaging networks to talk more about. Because as we all know, the best approach is to reach people where they are, and having a multi-channel strategy is the best way to do that. I've talked a little bit about reporting earlier. This is just the reporting within the marketing tools themselves, and really kind of gives you a preview of the overall improvements to the email or to the reporting suite with a much more, visual reporting with key takeaways that you can dig into further. So the performance data within the marketing tools is much more streamlined and user friendly. It's easy to see what's working and why. So in this example, we can see a breakdown from the different versions. We can see trends, popular links, actions by pages. So you can really see what's resonating with your stakeholders. And again, it's built in directly into the marketing tools, so you can be able to access it a lot easier and get those results faster. Um, and really, all of these combined, create a more streamlined workflow so that at the end of the day, the marketing tools is really focused on building campaigns faster with their drag and drop features, being more strategic with things like segments and A/B champion testing, and freeing your team to focus on the messaging rather than on the mechanics of actually developing and building out your campaigns. You can reuse components, clone messages, create those modular templates, and move from basically like conception to launching without a lot of the technical roadblocks that more like traditional, WYSIWYG and segmented marketing would create. So, we have worked with a handful of clients in moving them over, and are working with a couple more and getting them in progress. So we've been in all of those different places with our clients. And I'm going to turn it over to Morgan to talk a little bit about her experience with Friends of the Earth in their transition and the benefits of these new tools.
Thank you, Sarah. So just a brief introduction about Friends of the Earth and who we are. So Friends of the Earth, or FO, is an environmental nonprofit that fights for a more healthy and just world. Our organization speaks truth to power and exposes those who endanger the health of people and the planet for corporate profit. And together we organize to build long-term political power and campaign to change the rules of our economic and political systems that create injustice and destroy nature. And wouldn't you know, Engaging Networks is an instrumental tool for delivering our messaging to our supporters and encouraging them to take action. Our email program consists primarily of fundraising and advocacy efforts, which have differing goals but are built following specific standards between FO's 501(c)(3) and 501(c)(4) organizations. Weekly, we send around 6 to 10 emails, and then on individual giving days, we could send anywhere from 3 to 10 emails. So it's a pretty big program. And we send a lot of emails to empower folks to take action on specific topics relating to positive change for our planet. Next slide, please, Sarah. So FO's been using Engaging Networks since 2017, and we started out using Email Classic. Last year, shortly after I joined FO's team, Engaging Networks introduced marketing tools as their new and improved alternative to Email Classic. So knowing that Email Classic would eventually be sunset, one of my first tasks upon joining the team was to dig into how these new tools worked, identify what was needed to duplicate our efforts from Email Classic into marketing tools, and then lastly, to consider ways to improve our workflows, or at the very least, not veer too far from our old processes. So to do this, FO partnered with Cornershop to rebuild our old templates and marketing tools. And if I recall correctly, this took around 2 to 3 weeks. And then from there, our team fleshed out all the variables that needed to be included in those templates. And then, like I mentioned before, FO has a 501(c)(3) and 501(c)(4), so we needed a template for each organization. When we started creating our templates, we also had to consider an approach that had the option to switch between the two brands. just in case we wanted to send the same communication to folks on both of our 501c3 and C4 lists. So we have several templates for our needs. And then after we got those templates squared away, we had to make a list of common buttons, sidebars, any other special layouts that we used in Email Classic, and then convert them into custom blocks, which along with variable replacements are an integral part of building emails using marketing tools. Next slide, please. So let's talk about variable replacements first. Variable replacements are key to efficient workflows in marketing tools. You can add them to both your email templates and custom blocks. And like their namesake implies, they allow you to replace specific variables that you yourself get to define. So when you first create a new template, email template, I mean, you'll be presented with an HTML view, which you can see on the right. This is where you'll input the code of your email template. In my example here, I've highlighted some of the items that are variable replacements and how they show up in the visual view of the template. In the HTML view, you can see that I've wrapped my donate button link variable replacement in an A tag with an href. So now anyone who uses this template can replace that link with any URL they'd like to use. Ideally, that would be a link to a donate page, but you get the gist. The variable replacement named banner has a show or hide option, and in this case, it is set to hide. However, anyone using the template could select the show option if they liked in the visual view. It's just a dropdown. Both of these variable replacements were created using basic HTML, and as long as there are no errors in the code, then the variable replacements will work as intended. Next slide, please. So custom blocks are a huge time saver in marketing tools. In Email Classic, if we made a custom design using HTML and inline CSS, we would then need to go back to an email that used that design, locate the code, then copy and paste it in just the right place of our new email. And that was just a very lengthy process, and sometimes it was hard to find the design. So custom blocks make this process so much easier. You write the code once, and then you can easily insert it into any of your email templates. And then also your emails that you decide to build later on as well. And I decided to showcase this custom block I built called image variable width because it includes several of the field type options that you can select from when you are creating variable replacements. So the variable replacements in this example use the following field types. Image uses the image URL field, which pulls from your content library within engaging networks. And then image link uses the link field, which allows you to insert any link or engaging networks page that you'd like. Alt tag uses the text field, where you can add any text that you'd like. This one can be a little tricky because you do have to remember that you're technically adding this text using HTML. So any special characters like quotation marks could alter your code in ways that you didn't intend. And then the width uses the select field, which gives you that drop-down field to select options that you define. In this case, I've added multiple different width options. So my image could be 500 pixels, it could be 600, 680, which would take up the whole width of the email. So those are just some of the variables that you could add, and it's really helpful to have options. And I also want to note that the code for this block is pretty short. Your custom blocks don't have to be complex to achieve beautiful results. Next slide, please. I also wanted to provide a screenshot of how custom blocks are displayed with engaging networks. You saw a little bit of that when Sarah was sharing as well. So the default display is this image view, though you can also view your blocks in a list if you prefer. And for every block you make, you'll need to create a thumbnail. And since I commonly view the blocks in image view, I try to be mindful when I'm creating each thumbnail, like keeping the size of the thumbnail consistent, as well as the placement of the text of other images within the thumbnail. Helps keep me organized personally. However, it is up to you. Like that's one of the great things about marketing tools. It is so flexible and customizable. On the right side of the screen are a few more examples of layouts that we have converted to custom blocks. Marketing tools is incredibly flexible, like I said, and there's so much room for creating truly custom designs. And if you aren't as familiar with writing code, Engaging Networks does provide sample blocks for basic things like images and buttons and text blocks, spacers, etc. But for truly specific things, you'll likely want to make your own. And then once you get your templates and custom blocks finished, you're ready to use these in the email builder, which Sarah touched on in the beginning. The new interface is very friendly and intuitive to use. Next slide, please. So one of the key benefits that I really like about marketing tools is I love that there's an option for nested folders in marketing tools. You can use folders within folders for storing your templates, your custom blocks, and the actual emails you build. I try to keep everything neatly organized so that everyone or anyone on my team can find what they're looking for without having to give it too much thought or to having to dig through everything too much. Also, when creating your templates and custom blocks, I think it's important to think about the UI you're building not only for yourself to be using these blocks, but also for your colleagues as well. Keeping your naming conventions of variable replacements consistent, as well as the order that those replacements appear in, can help improve workflow and make things predictable for the folks who will be using these tools. When building new templates, it might be a helpful starting point to copy and paste the HTML from your old templates into Marketing Tools Template Builder. However, I do know the good folks at Cornershop would also be happy to help. And then another tip is that the custom block builder only has an HTML view with no visual view. So I recommend using tools like Visual Studio Code, CodePen, or any other visual code builders when you're developing your custom blocks, just to make sure everything looks how you intend it to look. Both of those items that I mentioned are free to use, Visual Studio Code and CodePen. And then I also recommend that you test everything. Creating a new template, make sure it displays properly on all major email providers. And then the same thing goes when you're creating custom blocks. Like, you want to see how that interacts in the email template that you've built, how it looks on mobile, all of the basic testing things. I guess another thing is don't wait until the last minute, as in until July 2026, if you value your sanity, to make the switch. Another thing is I really, really recommend that folks watch the tutorial videos in Engaging Networks Academy. They are incredibly helpful. I honestly credit them for my understanding of marketing tools today. And lastly, I know that changing processes can be difficult, but it does also invite the opportunity to revisit those processes to see how things can be improved. So good luck. I'll hand it back to Sarah.
Thanks, Morgan, for sharing. I know there are probably still people that are scared, even with all this information. So we want to assuage some of those concerns with really just kind of some key takeaways of approaching this process. First is plan for the transition time in learning. We don't want to minimize that transition is hard and any change is going to take time. So plan for it accordingly. Like Morgan said, if you value your sanity, don't wait until June 1st to try to do it in 30 days. It can be done. Will it be fun? No. And you want to make this a positive experience, especially if you are, working with a team or other people that are involved. We want to understand that, we want people to be able to take this at their own pace, and to have the time to get to know and learn tools, access those academy training videos as much as possible. But planning for this around times where things aren't super busy is also advisable. So probably not November and December of this year. I saw one of our clients here who, they're doing the transition now over the summer when things are a little quiet, which is great timing. So if you don't have anything else on your plate this summer, now might be a good time to start that transition and give yourself a whole year. One of the options is, a lot of people think, oh, it needs to be a, all or nothing process. A lot of people, they will start the migration, keep sending emails out of Classic, and then use the new marketing tools to maybe send out 1 or 2 messages, but still send out like those high value campaigns through Email Classic until you can get that experience and knowledge of how to use the new marketing tools so that you can eventually be sending out those bigger marketing pushes. So this can be done, Morgan said that our transition took a couple of weeks, but this can be over several months to fully make that transition. But definitely getting the building block set up can take pretty much no time at all. So this is a good approach, again, especially if there is some hesitation around this and you want to give people time to learn. Morgan already mentioned this a little bit, but this is a great opportunity to, reevaluate your SOPs or your, strategy when it comes to marketing. I've mentioned about, the SMS integration. Like maybe that is a tactic that you can start integrating into your strategy. It also could be a good opportunity to reevaluate the design of your email templates. Are these effective? How can we leverage the new marketing tools to present, a new and improved look and feel? And we are not the only partners out there that are available to help. Engaging Networks has put together a wonderful resource that lists all of their amazing partners, including us, with how they can help you. So I'm sure Austin or Marcy can send around this link to make sure it's available. But this is a little bit about how Cornershop can help you. As I mentioned, if you are looking to, completely revamp your, email templates, you want a new design, layout, everything, we have options for that. If you simply just want to get your existing tools into the new marketing tools, we've got an option for that. Or we're available for ad hoc support where we can answer questions, provide additional training, help you with maybe some of those more complicated pieces like creating a custom block. It can be for whatever that you need. So all of this information is posted on that resource link that Austin just shared. Thank you for doing that. And this has been mentioned several times throughout the presentation, but it is important that Email Classic is sunsetting for real life, if you're a fan of Bluey. July 2026. There are some key dates to keep in mind. That July 2026 is the date that the ability to create or duplicate an email in Email Classic will be removed, meaning you cannot be sending emails out from Email Classic. I should say you can't create new emails to send. You'll still be able to finalize and send any emails you already have started work on, but you won't be able to create new emails. And I see you, Cynthia, in the chat. Yeah, who isn't a fan of Bluey? People who don't like fun. And then October 2026, which, Lord, that seems so far away, but it'll be here tomorrow, is where we lose ability to edit and send emails from Email Classic entirely. So at this point, all clients who are sending broadcast emails will be required to do this through the new marketing tools. Good news is you'll still be able to access your Email Classic archive emails for at least the next 2 years so that you can view those old campaigns, grab preview links of like, hey, what did we send out in like March of 2023? We want to do that again for a campaign in 2026. That'll still be an option. So this is a great thing to like screen capture, post it on your wall, because these will be key dates. I don't think Engaging Networks has any intention of moving them out anymore, but they've set you up with really great tools and plans to make the transition as easy as possible. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions, but here is Morgan and I's contact information. Please feel free to reach out to us with any, questions or walk through anything that might be on your mind, regardless of where you are in that process. If you're, thinking about getting started and you just want some guidance on planning, if you're in the middle of it and getting across a roadblock, or you're already in the new marketing tools and you're like, how do I really, capitalize on some of these really great features that are in these new tools, we're happy to do that as well.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah and Morgan. Really, I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the Bluey references as well. Trying to find a way to work dance mode in there at some point, but I'll work on it. And it's a little awkward if I try it right now. So all that to be said, we have some questions that came in, and I want to remind everybody to throw some other questions if you have any right now for Sarah and Morgan. But one that somebody asked here is, can you speak a little bit more to some of the, I guess, ways in which you're going to be adding tracking parameters in marketing tools some of the differences between classic and then marketing tools, kind of how you're getting that tracking in there, and what kind of tips and trends you're kind of noticing with that.
I'd be happy to answer this one.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
so when you are in your email builder and you're inserting your links, there's a rich text editor that allows you to add your links within engaging networks with that the tracking information that it adds. It's either that like string of numbers that comes after the tildes. Um, so there's a way to do that. That's the tracking for that. And then for tracking parameters specifically to your pages, when you are adding links, there's an option below that it's just a field, a drop-down field where you can select from your tracking parameters. So any tracking parameter that you assign to an engaging networks page, you will be able to add in your email campaign with, it's very simple. And you can also do that not just at the link level, you could do it at the whole campaign level if you'd like. And that will be in the global settings of your email.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Another one here from Patrick says, any recommendations on processes for creating emails in two languages and with variable content? For example, an email in English and French targeting one-time and monthly donor segments.
I can take this one. Hi, Patrick. The way that I would approach this is because it is likely your English and your French emails are going to be using different templates. You'll still want to create two marketing campaigns, one English and one French. Because as I showed in one of those screenshots, there's this core message that you will create that all of your audience segments can be cloned from. So you'd create a English core message, a French core message, and then duplicate from there for your different audience segments. So you could version that core message for one time, version it for monthly, same thing with the French version. So you'd have two campaigns, but then again, all of the segmenting based on donor behavior would be contained within those. That's really the approach I would take anytime you're using different email templates. The best course of action is to create different campaigns, but as long as the template's the same, if you different content, different tracking parameters, anything like that, you can just simply use the audience segmentation within the campaign to create those so that you can see, for our English audience, the breakdown of one time versus monthly separately.
Perfect. Thanks for that. This one's kind of open to both of you, but what are some, you touched on some of the hacks, some of the blocks, templates, things that you feel are kind of game changers in marketing tools, variable replacements, nested folders, things like that. Are there any other specific, like, just things that your teams have created that you're like, wow, we have to have that? Like, I'm so glad we did that. I use it every time I make an email now. Anything like that that folks should maybe be aware of that maybe they can create on their end, or kind of start to think about some of their own versions of that on on their teams?
That's a good question. I know from our perspective as a partner and an agency, I think it really makes implementation of projects or of campaigns easier. Again, with this whole ethos of a marketing tool in a campaign, it's a very holistic approach. So the ability to be able to create those audience segments within one campaign, honestly, is probably my favorite because we've got a few clients where they create like 5, 6, 7 different versions of essentially the same email. The only difference is the tracking parameter and like maybe a few words in the email. And so what used to take, 15 minutes to version it now takes like 5. And so when you're talking about a campaign with 7 different versions, I just saved an hour of time in creating that. And it also makes, editing a lot easier. And just, from a very simplistic approach, just like there aren't as many emails in my email or not as many campaigns in my campaign list because they're all contained within one campaign. So just an easier administrative uh, way to manage things as well. So Morgan, do you have anything that you want to share?
Yeah, I would say so more on like the production side of things. Like when you are creating your custom blocks and you're looking at your code, if there's anything that's like ever repeating, that can be replaced with one variable replacement. So I think in one of the examples Sarah was showing before, she had shown how we had like a cluster of buttons. It was like donate 10, 15, whatever, etc. Like each one of those buttons has to have a link, but the way that we have set that up is that it only needs one, like you only ever have to change the link once. Like you don't have to change it for four buttons. The whole thing is like is the block. So you only have to use one link and that can be changed four times because you have the same variable replacement within each line of code. So anytime you can see where there's a duplicate, you can use that to your advantage and create less work for yourself as you're interacting with it on like the front end view. I hope that makes sense. It's a lot easier to visualize with an actual visual aid, but that's something that I have found really helpful is and also find it kind of fun, just like thinking of creative ways to make things a little more optimized for myself and for my team.
Those are great answers. Thanks for that. Um, yeah, I would say even just some of the basic things too, of just like having different variations of, image this side, image that side, linked, non-linked, just having like all of those built out in your blocks and your templates is probably going to be a really helpful thing to just not have to recreate the wheel each time. And that's, very simple, but it's one of those things you should definitely have on your list as you're making the migration and kind of building out your campaigns. We have a technical question here from Carl says, has anyone used the Google Analytics and tracking parameter in the email broadcast settings? Does that override the tracking in the inserted URL, or is it a fallback? Is that something we feel like we can address in this conversation, or is this something we can follow up with later? I just thought I'd open that to you both, though, just in case.
Yeah, we've only had one client that I know of that's used this, and I'm pretty sure it's a fallback because if memory serves me right, they would insert tracking parameters in individual URLs. And so that Google Analytics tracking basically made sure everything would be tracked. So you wouldn't have any, you see a lot in like Google Analytics reports of like, no set or forget that the default is basically it can't provide the source information. But that definitely might be more information that we'll want to provide on that just because there are so many ways that you can add tracking parameters based on how you're tracking. Morgan, talked about like um, the page variables that you can add in that are all built into engaging networks. But how those, which you choose and how they interact with each other. We'd want to get confirmation on.
Yeah, thanks for speaking to that for a minute, Sarah. I'll double check Carl too. I think Sarah's probably right on what she said there, but I'll just double check and get you a message offline on confirming that. So thank you. Another question I have here is, do you have an unexpected benefit that you discovered after fully adopting marketing tools that you did not anticipate? Anything that was a kind of a surprise, like, oh, didn't realize that was going to be easier or streamline things a bit?
I can say that you don't have to put in the not preview text, but the plain text. You don't have to create plain text for all your emails anymore. So you never have to worry, did I forget to update that? Like say you update or say you duplicated an email from a previous email and you might have forgotten to update the plain text. Like you don't even have to worry about that anymore. So there is not a plain text option that you have to consider when you're building each email. And I have found that to be nice because it's something I never want to forget.
I think that's a good point because yes, plain text is important, but I remember back on like old platforms where you had to create a specific version and it would like automate it somewhat, but would put a bunch of gobbledygook in it. So this you don't even have to think about it. You just know that it's going to send out correctly.
Last question I just want to ask you both is, when you're making this transition to marketing tools, you've offered so many great tips, so many great examples of how to do it well. But what are some specific strategies you would provide to smaller teams, maybe some teams that are feeling a little overwhelmed. Just some strategies on like really how to dice this up and get into it in the right way. I mean, you mentioned starting early. I think that's probably the biggest one. But just to kind of end on that note of like some hope maybe of like how can I do this? I'm on a I'm a lean team. Anything you can offer on that front would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of just moving over gradually, giving yourself grace that it doesn't need to happen overnight and that you do still have email classic for the next year that you can be sending out emails in while you learn these new tools. So I really appreciate that, Engaging Networks is starting this conversation early so that you can at least start the transition now, and maybe not fully adopt until early next year, or whenever is right for you. As a lean team, things come up out of the blue all the time. And so you may be, distracted or taken away from this as a priority while you deal with that. So I would definitely say, yeah, like having realistic expectations, giving yourself grace, and knowing that you can migrate gradually and it doesn't need to be a one and done kind of situation.
Yeah, I think I would add that, getting started is kind of the hardest part. It always is. But once you have your like first, like if you just need one basic template, I mentioned our organization has lots, but that's because we have very specific goals aligned with like each of our brands or 501(c)(3) and 4. But like once you have one done and like it's honestly just getting the template because Engaging Networks does provide you with sample blocks for all of the most basic things you're going to need. Like little call out boxes available in their sample blocks, body text, buttons, two buttons. For the most part, it's just getting that template done, which as you saw before, like in like one of my custom blocks, the code doesn't have to be super complex, but it has a lot of there's room for flexibility, but you don't have to be that flexible if you don't want to. Um, oh yeah, cloning, I do that all the time. I do clone the sample blocks when I'm just like, I need a quick fix for this thing I'm trying to do. But yeah, getting the template done is going to be the hardest part, but you can also start by like identifying what worked in your old template, or even just like snatching the code from that old template, throwing it in the new template builder, and seeing what that spits out in the visual builder. From there, that's where you can go in and dig in on those variable replacements. Also want to give another shout out to Engaging Networks Academy because those videos are super, super helpful as well. They're very to the point and help kind of get the big idea of what you can do with these tools.
It says for Morgan, how often are you finding yourself altering the template to accommodate new custom blocks for customizing different sends? We have a good deal of visual variation or hitting a roadblock there.
So I feel like I look at it the other way. I try to make my custom blocks work with my template. Normally it's the custom block that's causing the issue. My template, I've used it in all of my other email campaigns, but I think that's why the testing phase is so important for our team specifically. Like we have a whole process where we're going to test it in Microsoft Office, new and classic, and how that views in there. We try to test on Gmail. I have an Android phone, so I test on Android mobile. One of my coworkers has a iPhone, so we test there too. But I think making your custom blocks as simple as they can be, like you have to put all of them in a table tag, which is fine, but like just trying to keep it really simple in the custom block. That way your template can do all the legwork. And also trying to not add like competing styling. Like if you've established some CSS in your template, when you're in your custom block, trying not to write anything that might negate what you wrote before, in your style tags of your email template could be helpful. Um, but yeah, I feel like the testing process is most important, and then also keeping your custom blocks simpler than your template actually is. Oh,
Go for it.
Yeah. It's also important to not delete a custom block that is being used. It will alter your template. If it's already in an email, it won't like mess up that email, but you won't be able to refer back to it.
Yeah, a good call out. We had a message to us directly. Hopefully that wasn't from a place of grief. I'm sure it was. I think we've all done things like that before and have had to deal with the repercussions. So thank you for that advice. And thank you again as well.
I was gonna add, if you ever are like, oh, this custom block is like annoying and in the way, I don't want to look at it anymore. What I've done in ours is create a folder called archive. So I don't ever actually delete anything. I just move it to that folder, which is also why I love folders. But yeah, you can archive it in your own way.
That's great. Great advice. Really appreciate the both of you just sharing all of your expertise on this. And I want to encourage everybody, it's been called out a couple times, Academy for sure. Great resources on there, especially just getting started. But if you have specific questions too, feel free to go into our community and ask directly on there. There's a lot of people who are just willing to jump in and like share code and, you know, this worked for me, this didn't, you know, stuff like that. So like I would definitely encourage you to go on our community as well and just see if there's you know, an answer to your question or just if you're just trying to get some general feedback on what's working and what's not. Sarah and Morgan, thank you so much. Really know how much time you put into this and how much expertise you have having spent so much time in marketing tools, and we really just appreciate you both. And once again, though, thank you everyone for being here. Go watch some Bluey, take, you know, make some folders, stay organized. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it.